One night, while thousands of soldiers slept across the Balkans, history quietly changed its course. An imperial army was destroyed because of a single mistake. And on that night, the Ottomans stepped onto the stage of history. This is the story of a battle often forgotten, yet one that determined the fate of Europe. Sırpsındığı. In the mid-14th century, the Balkans were no longer a land ruled by strong, centralized empires, but a region dominated by kingdoms weakened by internal conflicts. The Byzantine Empire was far removed from its former power. The Serbian Empire, meanwhile, had entered a period of fragmentation due to civil wars and struggles for the throne. This political collapse created a vast power vacuum in the Balkans. And it was this very vacuum that opened the way for a new force rising from Anatolia. In 1354, the Ottomans crossed into Gallipoli, taking their first permanent step onto the European continent. This crossing was not merely a military maneuver. It was a turning point that would fundamentally reshape Balkan history. The Ottomans were no longer just a frontier beylik conducting raids. They had become a conquering and settling state. Cities across Thrace quickly fell under Ottoman control. This rapid advance caused deep concern among the Balkan nobility. The idea that the Ottomans had to be stopped spread quickly and soon turned into a broad alliance. Under the leadership of the Serbian despot Vukašin, a large army was assembled, composed of Serbian, Bulgarian, Hungarian, and Wallachian forces. Numerically superior, this army consisted mainly of heavily armored knights. Despite their imposing appearance, their mobility was limited. They underestimated the Ottoman forces and appeared confident of an absolute victory. However, the army facing them was unlike the European forces they were accustomed to. Ottoman troops were fast, disciplined, and masters of surprise attacks. They did not rely on brute strength on the battlefield, but on timing and psychology. At the head of the Ottoman army stood Lala Shahin Pasha, the Beyler Bey of Rumelia. Though outnumbered, the Ottomans held a clear strategic advantage. The two armies came face to face along the banks of the Maritsa River. The Balkan army established a large camp by the river. Convinced that the Ottomans would not dare to attack at night. Guards were relaxed, armor was removed, and the camp's discipline collapsed. The soldiers were confident that victory was near. Yet Ottoman forces watched the camp carefully from within the darkness. When its vulnerability became clear, Lala Şahin Pasha decided on a sudden night assault. The goal was not a pitched battle, but to throw the enemy into panic. Ottoman units silently took their positions. As the night deepened, the silence grew heavier, and at midnight, the attack began. Ottoman raiders stormed into the camp like lightning. Sleeping knights were neutralized before they could even grasp what was happening. Shouts, flames, and chaos erupted among the tents. Panic spread through the entire army within minutes. In the darkness, it became impossible to distinguish friend from foe. The chain of command collapsed. When the retreat began, all order was lost. Many soldiers fled toward the Maritsa River. But when heavy armor met cold, deep waters, death became inevitable. Hundreds of soldiers drowned in the river. Serbian despot Vukašin was also killed during the chaos. The Balkan army was effectively annihilated in a single night. The Ottomans, by contrast, suffered almost no losses. This was not an ordinary battle. It was a complete military collapse. Known to history as the Battle of Sırpsındığı, this night changed the fate of the Balkans. After this victory, no serious force remained capable of halting the Ottoman advance. Macedonian and Bulgarian territories were left defenseless. Many Balkan lords chose survival over resistance and accepted Ottoman rule, agreeing to pay tribute. Edirne became the new capital of the Ottoman state. The Ottomans were now a permanent power in Europe. The victory at Sırpsındığı paved the way for major battles such as Kosovo and Nicopolis. Europe was forced to confront the reality of the Ottomans. Yet the transformation was not limited to the military sphere. Ottoman administration brought a more centralized and orderly system to the Balkans. Feudal lords were replaced by the Timar system. For peasants, a more predictable and stable life began. For this reason, Ottoman rule in many regions was met not with fierce resistance, but with acceptance. Sırpsındığı was not merely a battle. It marked the end of one era and the beginning of another. Had this night not taken place, the Ottomans might never have secured their hold in the Balkans. Kosovo might never have occurred. And Constantinople might never have been besieged. Sırpsındığı was the true beginning of the Ottoman story in Europe. A single night changed the fate of empires. A river drew the line between the old order and the new, and on that night on the banks of the Maritsa, history was written anew.